We appreciate you being here. Kevin and I met Joe, I believe the Facebook reminded us of the event that we all met at in Dartmouth, Vermont with Scott Caulfield. I think it was 9 years ago, I believe, that Facebook reminded us that we all met up. That's when we first met Smitty as well. I can't even remember the course anymore, but it was good because we met you. So that's all that matters.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. We only did one of them once and you both were there. It was just the one time we got together.
Okay. So it was you and Smitty that were hosting it.
Yep. Okay. And it was Scott's gym that he worked
at.
Scott
Caulfield, yeah.
Scott was the host. Cool. And so just to give everyone an idea that Jenny and I, when we opened up Train Smarter and Harder, which I am at the headquarters right now currently in all 329 square feet, Joe was kind enough to help us out with some marketing stuff. And Kevin and I caught up with Joe most recently. We probably hadn't really, like you said, I think, Joe, you said you left the internet world for about 5 years while you built your businesses, and now you're back. So we'd like to hear from you. Selfishly, Kevin and I have a bunch of questions and want to hear more about what you've done, but also for everybody on the call, what you've been up to and how you started in one gym and now you're in 4, and you mostly just do business stuff, I believe. So have at it, and we'll go from there.
Yes, I've been fortunate to be at this 12 years now, and I started in now is that a 2-car garage or 1-car garage?
1.
See, I had 1.5, so I started big time. That when I started my first gym, it was in my basement garage 12 years ago. And basically, the story is that I was a college athlete. I was very fortunate to play football at Colgate University. I ended up having 4 knee surgeries my sophomore year. I was out of shape. I was weak going in. The whole process, I was just very fortunate to have some God-given talent that helped me out. And I wanted to know why I got hurt and how I can help prevent other athletes from going through the same thing. So after I got out of college, I started doing some studying at CSCS, NSCA stuff, where I met Scott Caulfield, who worked there shortly after the presentation we did. And I wanted to get into training, and I wasn't sure how. And at that same time, my father ended up passing. He was a very unhealthy man, a very, very great man, but he was very unhealthy. He smoked a pack a day, drank 2 liters of Pepsi. Used to get like those little potato sticks that are on a salad bar somehow, like by the jar, and just eat those, and Spam and mayonnaise, and a very unhealthy individual. So I wanted to kind of have some fulfillment, number one, in figuring out where my career went wrong with sports and what I can do to fix it. And what went wrong with my father's life. And his father I never met. He died when my dad was in high school. My dad died when I was right in college. I have 3 sons. I have 3 brothers. And I wanted to change this family history of being unhealthy adults. So him and I were working on a car together. It was a 1969 Camaro that we had bought in a junkyard because we didn't have a lot, but he wanted to do his father-son project. And as we were finishing it, he passed. We took the car. My wife and I, we decided to sell it for $6,500, and that's the only money we've ever put in of our pocket into our gym company. And we bought a bunch of used weights from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. We bought a bunch of horse stall mats from Tractor Supply. We cobbled together a gym, which I thought was the greatest place on earth at the time. And looking back on it, maybe it was. Humbly, no, I'm just kidding. No, it was a cool little gym. We had to have to like move the lawnmower so people could come in and work out because we didn't have enough space. And we got started out of that garage gym. And I was fortunate to find some mentors along the way. He mentioned that I did a seminar up in Dartmouth with James Smith, Smitty Diesel. One of the first books in training I ever bought was called Chaos Core. Was one of his old books he wrote in the early 2000s. And I'm flipping through the back, and I see the shipping address is about an hour from my house. So I just sent him an email, and he's like, "Yeah, you come out, work out." And he has this like little wobbly garage back in the day. He's got a much nicer space now. And we started working out together, like flipping tires around piles of dog crap in his yard, pushing prowlers around the block in this little town. Everyone's watching us. And it was a very cool experience where he opened up a lot of doors and got me to a lot of seminars, a lot of places to meet you guys, out to a lot of gyms in the country. And I spent the first 4 or 5 years of my fitness career traveling to all the gyms I possibly could and learning from their training methods so I could apply it to the locations as we grew out of the garage to our first location behind a baseball facility, to expanding that location, to opening another location, to buying another building. So we're up to 3 locations now. We had a partnership with a hospital group. We opened another one in another city that we built up and we sold. So things have been really accelerated over the last 3 or 4 years as I picked up a lot more experience.
Cool. And Kevin, you had a question about so Kevin and I talked about you earlier on the phone, and Kevin, you had a question about Joe going from 1 to 4 places, right?
Yeah, what's that? That's something I'm curious at, is like a business owner and being in a gym that has a couple locations. What's that process been like for you, going from 1 location to 2 locations and 3 locations? Because I know lots of times people talk about the increasing complexity whenever you add an employee or add X number of employees or add X number of locations. So if you could speak to that experience a little bit, I think it'd be pretty interesting to people who own gyms out here.
Yeah, 1 was, fairly easy, and you get confidence. You focus so much on the training methods and you're getting people results, which is such a good portion of and what you are professionally responsible for doing, because you see a lot of garbage out there. But it's your professional responsibility to give a good training experience. And that was like, all right, we got this great training experience. We can do this at a second place. And you can really do 2. And I think I learned this from Seth Godin that was talking about, you can really have 2 facilities of almost anything, because you can stretch yourself so thin that you can run 2 facilities. And once you open up 3, you have to be good at business. You have to have business systems. So you can juggle 2 and bubble gum things together. And honestly, we did. We hired someone who probably shouldn't have been the manager for the first 3 months. We had to rectify that. We had to create our onboarding system, which is so critical for members, but we had to apply that to staff. And I had to seriously move from a position of loving the training, the sets, the reps, how we do things, the model, to loving the business for the same thing, and learning being humble enough to say, screwing it up enough to become humble enough to say that there are other people in the industry that can do as good as me. And I need to find those people, hire, elevate them, and it will be able to help more people than if I just try to do it all myself. So it was about a year of bubble gumming and duct taping until we figured out, you got to run some business systems. And 3 was real smooth. Our partnership with the hospital group was real smooth to open. Our last one we opened 13 months ago, right before the pandemic. We were able to go to 0 to our 150 members in the first 60 days. So having those systems in place happened after we got to 2. 2 was the learning experience.
That's really, really interesting.
And I do want to say one thing on that. One critical component to all this growth from the garage, like Brendan's standing in, and the garage that I had started in, you have to have some realistic assessment of your skills and where you're at. And I knew I didn't have the business acumen, and I did not go and sign a big lease that buried me under tons of overhead. It gave me an opportunity to learn first so I could kind of grow into it. So I didn't go out and sign the $10,000 a month lease without the $10,000 a month business skills. Had to start my garage, had to figure it out. Then we moved over to a baseball facility behind there. The bathrooms were awful. They were shared. Lady members would always complain about it. So we had to grow out of there to the next one. But there was different steps without getting buried in overhead. And especially with the pandemic, we're seeing so many people suffer right now that buried themselves in overhead, and they're not getting the breathing room they need in that area.
One of my favorite business quotes, and I have no idea who said it, is you always want to grow out of, not into your business. Quick question. So I guess I got 2 questions. Was 1, how did you, so pre-pandemic, how the hell did you go from 0 to 150 members? And you said 3 months?
Yeah, about a month and a half at that facility. Well,
so that's my first question. My second question is how would you do that with a pandemic or after a pandemic?
And we got to do it again.
Challenging them here.
Yeah, I am. I'm going right for the jugular. Let's go.
Well, like you said, I told you before, I created 3 presentations for tonight in case I need to speak on any of them. And one of them was answering the questions, if I were to do it all over again, how would I grow a gym? So I knew you were going to come with that one, but
okay.
How did we do in the first place? So we learned a lot of lessons, and I'm going to try to shortcut them for your certified functional strength coach group here. Those lessons included learning from, we hired a consultant who opened a bunch of Orange Theories around the country because I wanted to learn how they did it. Regardless of the model and what you think of it, there's always valuable pieces in every model and almost every business. So we learned a lot from how they do their pre-opening sales. We learned a lot from the hospitality industry and how they keep people satisfied and keep retention longer. And we wanted to create a remarkable experience to generate referrals, because we had the benefit of having the 2 other locations, that we reached out to those members first. And the key to our marketing strategies, and going forward into this year, we're going to double down on it, is community relationships. We leverage our current members to bring people to our grand opening, which was a huge day. It's about 4,500 square foot with bathrooms and everything that take up some space of that. We had 125 people through the doors for the 2 hours. We ran a 1-hour training group. Then we had an open house, and we basically collected people's information by saying we had to enter to win a free year for them and 2 friends. We collected as much information as possible. We had 2,000 people enter that in our area, from using our community relationships, getting on Facebook Lives with different running stores, showing up at different indoor turf rentals, going to practices of different travel teams and running their warm-ups for free, and getting the word out and doing good in the community to get a buzz around our opening. And through all those contacts, we were able to get people signed up and committed very quickly.
Cool. Very cool. Any, real quick, any suggestions for a pandemic? Actually, so I'll be more specific. Not opening a gym during the pandemic like I did, like a genius. But what are you doing right now to get the people back who were previously members of your gym pre-COVID and now are looking to come back, or when you did open in New York again? And hopefully, fingers crossed, we're not all shutting down again. But
2 things. The first is, I do think it is a great time to open a gym. Commercial real estate is going to be cheap for the next year or 2, I would guess, especially from what I'm seeing in our area. Unfortunately, there has been a lot of the gyms that have closed, which creates more market space for new entries. I was speaking to a restaurateur from California today, and we're talking about the same thing. They were looking to open a pop-up restaurant in the next 6 months, because they know that now's the time to get in the market while there is so much availability. As businesses have closed, commercial real estate drops. It lets you get in at a lower price, a lower overhead. Opportunity is there because these other gyms are closing, and you can really just reach out, make a relationship, get their member list by exchange of value, or offer them a little bit of money for it, and then convert them over to your facility. So marketing is going to be a little bit easier right now as well. But what's important for us is reactivation and referrals. Those are 2 big focuses for post-pandemic. So we had about 800 people on private training memberships pre-pandemic, and we went down to about 625. We didn't do any discounts. We kept it the same. We provided online options. We did some personal training through one of those apps. I should know it because I picked it, but our staff runs, I think it's Train Heroic. There's a bunch of them that do something similar where you can deliver some personal workouts. I hated doing Zooms. We did some Facebook Lives instead, but we kept people active, and it was really more their goodwill than the training experience. It was that they appreciated us pivoting quickly, giving them opportunity and leading them through. I was doing consulting for a larger commercial gym. They were 3 months into the pandemic, and they're like, "Hey, we're launching our app next week. What do you think?" I'm like, "What app? You're 3 months in, your members are gone." Like, they had a ridiculous amount of members. I'm talking tens of thousands of members at their 7 locations. And they were so slow to pivot. They just lost too many, and they didn't maximize the goodwill that exists when you step up for someone in a time like this. So for reactivations, we do something wild. It's called asking them if they'd like to come back. Now, you think that's crazy. I was on a consult call today, and we wrote an email, myself and the person I was consulting with, to help get his gym on track. We wrote it around noon today, and it was simply something like this: "Hey, I haven't seen you at the gym for a while, and I know things have been crazy. Would you like to come back in? ? Signed off the owner." And he had 4 people since noon today reactivate, and he wanted to do something more complex. I'm like, well, cast the wide net first, throw it out there, and then you can reach out to individuals. You can do the automated text. You can write postcards. You can do all the complicated stuff. But how about you just ask first, and let's see where we're at. Now, in that process of asking, you prove that, number one, you're going to follow the safety procedures, regardless of your thoughts of the whole pandemic. People want to make sure that they're not going to get sick at your gym, and it's really important. And you give them clear communication. We have a private members page where all of our members are on it. So I give them clear communication that here's where we're going, here's what we're doing. I hope you're on board. Let me know if you need any changes. And we have those conversations. And to reactivate people, the most important part, other than asking, is when they leave, ask them why they're leaving. And that I did not do for 6 years. And it was probably the biggest leak of money in my business, is not asking, because the assumption is they're leaving because they don't like me and they'll say something that hurts my feelings, and then I'll go home and cry. And the reality, it goes back to this question. Are you sure that's true? You need to ask yourself that a lot in business. Are you sure that's true? Or are you just telling yourself that? So now we survey all of our members when they leave. How satisfied were they? What would they like to see change? When do they want their membership canceled or held, or whatever it is? Usually we found that they are highly satisfied, and it's a seasonal thing. My kids are in sports. I can't make it for 3 months, so I don't want to pay for it. I need to travel for work for 6 weeks. My mom's sick and she's moving in with me, so I can't make it to the gym right now. All those open up conversations of telling you when to follow up and reactivate them. So if someone is pausing because they need to homeschool their kids and school restarts, then I would reach out to them, say, hey, I know things were crazy while you're homeschooling your kids. I'd like to make this transition easy for you. Why don't you come in free for a week and see if it fits your schedule? And then you reactivate based on what they told you when they left.
Sweet.
Sometimes the answer is the obvious answer, right?
Yes. We like to make things so complicated.
We do.
And we were just creating our Q1 marketing calendar. We had our leadership meeting as a team, and it looks a lot like our marketing calendar 3 years ago, because we tried to make things so complicated. Like, how do we do this onboarding process of, what do we do with 1 week, 2 weeks? And we create all this complexity. And now we look at everything we do and say, all right, what can we stop doing? And we cut back to basically where we were 3 years ago, but with more knowledge on that being the right way, and to have those conversations a little bit more serious. Again, this is from a consult call, a different one earlier today that I was on with a Level Up Your Gym member. He was looking for marketing tips, and he thought he was missing out because he wasn't doing anything with Facebook ads yet, or Yelp ads, or all those other paid marketing pieces. He's like, all I'm doing is getting referrals. I'm like, well, keep doing that. Like, why? You want to learn how to run Facebook ads or pay, and we've paid people, and I like them. I'm not smack talking Facebook ads because we use them in our company. Our last person that we worked with was $1,500 a month plus ad spend. It was about $2,500 a month investment, and you can do that referrals, reactivations, or to go back to my question I asked myself is, how would I do this over again? Is I would realize that I have other assets other than just a training session. And I would list all the assets I have: my Facebook page, my email newsletter, my videos, my podcast that we run locally. And how can I leverage those to get in front of people, to invite them into the gym? And if we're running the sessions anyways, we're always generous with our offers. And there's this confusion in the training world, like, hey, you can't offer anything for free. You always get tire kickers. That's semi-true in the internet world, because you don't get to build a relationship eye to eye with them. But if you can invite someone in and guide them through a session, unless you're in a really big city, you're probably not going to get many people that are jumping location to location. Be generous, get them in, make that relationship, and then sign them up. And that's part of your marketing costs, but you're not really paying any money out like you would for Facebook ads.
Yeah, just as an example, at Train Smarter here, Jenny and I offered the first 20 people free sessions, and then upsold them on a package after their free session. And we recently, last week, we've been open 4 months. Last week we we charge because we're doing 26 sessions a week right now, and our goal is to just get 20. And only one person booked twice and didn't show up, and everybody else did. And I confirmed and everything, and that person just wasn't someone that was going to show up anyway. So out of 20, so we gave away 22 free sessions, and 20 of them showed up, and 20 of them are now paying customers. And now we don't offer a free session anymore. It's a $25 session. So again, like, I think like you're saying, there was like the small community like there's not people jumping from gym to gym to gym where I'm at. Like as if I was selling something. For example, if I sold my book in a PDF online, then there's a really big market for people who steal books in PDF form and shuttle it around online, but not people stealing free stuff coming to your gym in your local community. I think it's a great point.
Here's the other thing to consider. We're not running a free food buffet. It's not something you can hit and run. It's not like
Right.
a party where you'll show up once, no one will notice and you go. There are other barriers to enter signing up for a training facility other than cost, comfort, coming out of their own insecurities to be vulnerable with somebody. And that does prevent, you'd say, the tire kickers from coming in. No one's going to just come in and say, all right, I want to get my butt kicked for an hour and never see these people again. Like that's
Yeah, exactly.
it's not the reality. It is maybe in the restaurant industry, but you do have to consider when you get these nuggets of tips, they are probably true in certain circumstances and probably not true in other ones. And I would recommend getting people in a little bit more often. Like a lot of gyms grow with charity workouts. They bring buddies to charity workouts. No one's going to show up to a charity workout to stiff you out of a training session. So there's so much opportunity out there if you get over yourself and understand it's part of the process.
Yeah. There's something about the relationship of that person coming into your gym for like that one session that already, like you said, that's a barrier for entry. And the number one thing that I tell all of our young trainers, and we give them these free personal training cards as they're trying to build their personal training rosters, to give these out to people. Like we'll give away that session in that hour for that person to come in, because we're fairly certain if they spend an hour at our facility in a group or in a one-on-one setting, that they're going to continue to rebook and be a customer. So I think, like you said, there's this idea in the training world that you shouldn't give stuff away. But I think for us, that's been the most surefire way to get people in the door initially, and then they become, lifetime clients. And
I'll add one caveat to it. The more you can give away, the better, if it is to your target demographic. And if you haven't defined that yet, you are already screwed. No, you can muddle around till you do find it, but you need to put some serious thought into it. We don't give away a lot for free on Facebook because that'll just go out to such a wide audience. We can't control it. We do give away a ton for free if they are our exact target avatar, where we went through this process, and I'll make it easy for people listening, of how do we identify your target demographic. You choose 2 or 3 people who would be your ideal clients. They exist in the real life. They are real world people that you may have already trained, and you write down the story about them. And that's your target demographic, 29-year-old teacher, the kid's this old, this is their schedule. And now you have that in front of you. And then you ask yourself, where do these people hang out and how can I reach them? I'll tell you a quick story. There's a gymnastics studio across the parking lot from one of our locations, our Synergy Vesta location. And we were doing a Fit Moms Challenge. Well, where are our target demographic moms hanging out? Literally right across our parking lot. And what would you give to give that target demographic into your facility? And these are moms who are investing in their kids' fitness and well-being. They have disposable income to send their kids to gymnastics, which isn't cheap. They are literally right next to us. So we said, we're going to do this Fit Mom program. I think we were selling for maybe $199. We're going to give it to the first 30 people that reply to an email for free. Would you like to send this email out to your members? They love to send it out because they don't like parents hanging out, staring at their coaches while they're trying to coach gymnastics. They want to get them over there. So we ended up giving more than 30 free. I can't remember the numbers off my top head. We gave out maybe 40 or 50, and we converted 38 of them or so afterwards to full-time paying members after giving them a 30-day pass to sessions we were going to run anyways, regardless of whether they were standing there or not. So it was a generous offer to get them in, build the relationship. Now, that was our perfect target demographic. I wouldn't necessarily put that ad anywhere else, but we identified where they hung out and we reached out with value to build that relationship.
That's awesome. Love that story. You told me that story when we first started working together too.
Yeah, huge for us, gymnastics and running stores, sneaker stores. Yeah, they run all the 5Ks. Their email list is huge of local people. We do, we go to there. I walk through, they do like a walking analysis to recommend your shoes. We'll do it. We'll do a Facebook Live at their place. We'll put it on our Facebook. We'll promote it. When we did our grand opening, they were huge in sending it out like, hey, they're giving away a membership to go sign up. And a lot of those 2,000 or so people that came on our email list came from them in that relationship because they were serving fitness-minded people in our community, but not necessarily people that went to gyms, or they were always looking for places to go, things to do in the winter, or injury prevention, or, we're not talking elite runners. You picture the people that go out and try to jog a mile. They were perfect candidates for us.
Yeah. So Kevin and I will stop hogging your time, and we'll let everybody that's on this call hog your time instead. So we have 14 people on this call, and Joe, you said you had a question for everybody, and maybe they can use the Q&A box.
Oh, sweet. I could only see your pretty faces, so I didn't know there was
I
other
know.
people on the call. I do see it now.
Yeah, I know.
So here's my question. I would like you to type it in the chat. If we look at the first 90 days of 2021, so F 2020, let's get out of there. Let's put our minds at 2021. How many new people would you like to train? If we look at 2021, first 90 days, how many new people would you like to add to your training roster? Now, while you type that into the chat, the reason why I'm asking it, and the reason why we call our consulting side Level Up Your Gym, is the advice will be different based on the size of people that you want to work with. If you're a personal trainer, the tips are a little bit different. If you want to do small group, it's a little bit different. If it's large group, it's a little bit different. I'm seeing some come in. Christina says add 5. I think I saw 5 to 10 come through as well.
Derek said 5 to 10. Drew, our good friend Drew, has a gym.
Drew better step it up.
30.
Tennessee. He needs 30 new clients. I'm around 5. I'd like 5 new clients.
Now, I want to ask one more question that'll really help us narrow it down. Oh, simple Y or N. Do you have current clients? Yes or no?
My answer is
right,
yes.
Lisa. Drew's got a couple. All right. Michelle's
5.
Yes. Okay.
We have Mary in the Q&A box.
Yes.
She
Okay.
says 12. Isaac, no, does not.
Okay, so I will give an answer for both because I don't want to leave Isaac hanging. So here's how I would get 5 people if I already had clients, and exactly what we're going to be doing across our 3 locations is we're going to look at who our best members are and give them a free 30-day pass to give to a friend as a Christmas gift or holiday gift. We did that last year. We had 75 people come in. We did the year before. We had 75 people come in because we limited it. This year, we're only going to do, well, we're not doing 5. We're going to do 30 because of our New York State guidelines and capacity and all the issues that we have regarding COVID, that we can't go over capacity, and we don't want to squeeze good paying members onto a waiting list during our sessions. But I would create an actual physical gift card. We always ask in our members page, but you can ask them individually if you only want 5, is do you have a friend, family member, or coworker that could use a gift of fitness? And it's not a discount. It's not something weird like that during the holidays. It does have to be a gift. It is the giving season. They know you. They know your facility. They know the type of people that go to your facility, and they will hand that card to someone that will likely be a great client for you. And out of the 75 that we gave out last year, we probably had 50, 55 turn into full-time memberships. Not everyone who gives them will actually come around, but they do. Yeah, it's Drew. We sent out a Christmas card. Now, Drew has a little bit of a bigger training facility. So here's what we do on the bigger scale, Drew, is we go into our private members Facebook page, just like you are in for the CFSC coaches. We have that for all of our gym members. And after we hand out some individually, if we want to cast a wider net, we say, we're going to give away 20 30-day passes. Would you like one? And we get their confirmation first, because people like to behave consistently with what they say. So someone will see that, they'll grab one quick, you print it out, put it on your front desk, they'll see a pile of them, and if they missed out, they are getting FOMO because they're looking at all those cards that other people got to give away to someone. It is real value. You write your $199, $299, whatever you are, and you send them out that way. Now, if Christina or Derek or Michelle or Lisa who have commented, if you do it for small personal training, that's the only exception I would do, because we're funneling people into groups that we're running anyway, small group, large group. I would do it for like 3 sessions, 5 sessions, something smaller. If it was a one-on-one, required an hour of your labor to perform it, that's where I would pump the brakes to just 5 or 6 of those gifts. But if you have an existing group that is not full, it does not hurt you to give them a gift to pass to a friend. Right. And Drew said, send out a Christmas card to all current members with a free month of training. That we request they give to someone. We did that a few years ago, and we were able to scale a little bit, Drew. And I know you and I talked on a podcast recently by getting their buy-in first and then handing it to them and then asking them who they were going to give it to and then asking them if they gave it to that person. And they know that they're limited. And some people return them like, hey, I tried to give it to my friend at work. I thought she'd like to come, but she goes to another gym, so it wasn't going to work out, and they'll return it. So we know that, we know the money's in the follow-up. So we're not going to throw them all out there. And I want to know where they're going, and I want to know who they're asking. If I'm giving them a $200 gift, it's you got to value your time. It is a real gift. It's a real valuable gift. So you have the right to follow up on it in a cool way. Don't be a weirdo about it, especially you, Drew. Now, from the other people that comment, I didn't want to leave Isaac hanging either. Now, Isaac, I'll assume you train out of some place that perhaps if you don't have any clients, it's probably a place that you don't own yet. But I would use the same thing that Kevin mentioned earlier is you pass out a couple passes to get people in, and then you collect their referrals, you collect their reviews, and then you use that to grow your business. I would start with kind of some movers and shakers in the community. In my world, if that running store was someone that I wanted to reach, I would invite in the owner and his wife to come in and train for free. We saw a shift in our demographics about 5 years ago where we were getting probably 70% female from athletes and adults. And we want to keep it, 60-40 either way. So if a guy client wouldn't come in and say, oh, it's all ladies, or if it was all guys, or a lady wouldn't come in and say, oh, it's all guys. So we needed to balance that out. We reached out to our local PD, the local police department. So we appreciate what you guys do in our community. It's right down the street from one of our locations. Do you guys want to come in and train for free, and we'll give half price to your family? And that's how we made a relationship with them. Got more family members than them. They actually didn't like to come in and train that much because they work such weird shifts. So we got a lot of family members. And ironically, they were a lot of coaches in the communities too on the youth level. So they got us in to run free training session, run free warm-ups, and get the list of our youth football and our youth soccer and our youth softball and all that. So opened a lot of doors. So I would start building relationships if I were you, Isaac, to give that offer to. And everyone else, I'd be lazy and give it to my members and then have them pass it out.
Touche. Isaac, we to start here, we got the newspaper, and in our newspaper every week they have an athlete of the week in the town that we're in. And I Instagram message, since that's what all the high school kids use these days. I personally Instagram messaged every athlete of the week for the last 3 years who from our town, and offered them all a free month of training. And we had 3 of those athletes show up. 2 of them are still clients. One of them I would call a super client because she posts every time she comes here, and her and her sister are 2 of the top basketball players in the state. And I can almost, it's kind of like raving fans. I can almost funnel every single client that we now have to her posting something on Instagram about us. So that was how we started. And then the other thing we did is my wife goes to a jujitsu. She does jujitsu twice a week, and we offered the owner that we would run a warm-up and core program for free once a week there for 6 weeks. And most of the people who do jujitsu are, like you're saying, Joe, law enforcement. So we have a bunch of law enforcement and people from the jujitsu class who actually come and train with us now. And we offered them all their first 3 personal training sessions for free. So that's how we got them in.
I'll give you a shortcut around using the perfect example that Brennan was just talking about. Most people don't value their email list of contacts. You should value your email list of contacts, and you should value theirs. And so we'll get often asked to do a sponsorship or go run a warm-up. We'll say, sure, no problem. Would you mind sending this email out to your parents afterwards? They're like, oh yeah, it's no sweat at all. Like they don't care. And then we'll offer them a great offer to come in. That's why we lead with a good offer like our 30-day pass, because that fits our model. Maybe it's 3 free sessions. Maybe it's a small group 2 weeks, but we lead with value, and they'll send out the email for us. And I have before, because I've screwed it up, say, all right, well, you can come sign up for 10% off. Nobody's going to come respond to that email for 10% off. There needs to be a good enough offer of something of value to get them in. And that can save you a lot of time. Cause I used to do like, all right, I'll go like every day and run your basketball warm-ups. Now I'm just like, all right, I'll go once. Will you email out? Yes. And that email, especially from a coach that says, hey, we recommend this place, you're already getting someone to vouch for you. You're getting that that social proof you need. And it's a really great way to drive clients up front. That's how we built our entire company up front. Is we ran a football clinic. We rented out a facility. We ran our own. I almost forgot about this. We got a bunch of former athletes from the area together, and we were sick of seeing football clinics where people would go to the big colleges, they pay like $1,000 and they would get like, you know, some graduate assistants running through some drills. We're like, all right, let's just run this football camp for like $40. We rented this field. We got them t-shirts included. We asked the coaches sent people. And at the end, we're like, hey, does anyone want to work out? And they're like, yeah, sure, I guess. And then they started coming to the garage gym. So we organized our own community event to build that list.
What do we got for questions from people, specific questions? Unless, Joe, you want to ask the group more questions? Keep going down the that path, or let people.
I want Drew to ask a question first.
Drew Massey on the spot.
Or anybody else. Isaac, we talked a lot about you just from your one letter and response. So hopefully that was helpful. I do want to come on this call and just give value, open book, so you can ask any question about fitness, marketing, or what's coming up in the next year.
Drew, you're on the spot. Let's go, buddy. Isaac said it was very helpful. Anyone?
I've spent 7 years as a high school teacher, and my biggest weakness was wait time. I'd ask a question and just like wait, that awkwardness that we're in right now where you're waiting for Drew to type something.
Yeah.
Christina,
that was my way. Christina, she cracked. I appreciate that.
She
cracked. Do you give anything? Okay. It's a great question. We don't. So I know a lot of people do. If you're starting off and you need to move some people into referring, maybe. I've seen places that do like, hey, we're gonna give this big thing away. You get like raffle tickets for referral. All that got too complex for us. If you have the depth in your community, I wouldn't, because the chances are they probably came in on a referral deal already. They got some special. They already got that offer that brought them into your facility. So they got that goodwill up front. So it's not like someone came in, they paid you for a year up front. Now you're giving everyone else a discount that they didn't get in on. But for referrals, we generally don't, but we do spend a lot of time shouting out and appreciating behavior that we want repeated in our members page. And that includes referrals, includes attendance. It includes any sort of small victory we can shout out. But we often give people shout outs, which is a form of social currency. So I'll give you an example. Lady Beth brought in her coworker last week that signed up. So I'll get in our members page. I'll shoot a quick video. Beth, I want to thank you so much for bringing in your friend, Kristen. She became a full-time member. She was saying that she already felt good after the first few sessions, and that she's very thankful for the opportunity you gave her to come in and speaking so highly about us and to your coworkers really means a lot to us. Thank you so much, Beth. And I give her genuine appreciation. Sometimes we'll do handwritten postcards, but it isn't a transactional, if you do X, we give you Y. All right, Drew put down his dinner and put one in. All right, Drew. In the past, we have ran 6-week challenges, full access to the gym, private Facebook group, nutrition guidance. Do you feel this is valuable? What are your best practices or things that have failed that you wish you could do different? I wish I could do the lighting in my yellow room different. These guys are looking sharp and I'm looking terrible in this yellow light. It's very dark in here, upstate New York. But no, for challenges, we did a lot of challenges in the past. Here's what I would do different. I would come to the realization very quickly that there's 3 ways to make money in your business. And I only thought about the first one for years. The first one is to add more members. And we chase that one so much. The second way is to keep members longer or charge members more. And we never really focused on that third one, which has been so valuable to us in the last year. And I don't mean just charge them more for the sake of charging more, but giving them value. And so we rotate between internal member challenges and external challenges. So right now we're running a Project Zero challenge. The goal is from the week before Thanksgiving until January 1st to gain 0 pounds. And we give them the nutrition guidance that you mentioned. We check in with them every Friday to see what they need support on. and he gave him a free copy.
I love that. Gain
To
0
gain
pounds.
0 pounds.
Just getting 0.
Oh
We're
my
not asking.
God.
So I wrote a book, Eating Strategies for Busy Adults. It is not an earth-shattering book. It's like, hey, don't eat like crap, and here's how to do it. And we give them a free
Sweet.
copy of the book so they get some physical value. We just use it for extra value for our memberships. And so they paid $39, I think, to do this challenge. We had 100 people do it, roughly 100 people. So it's $3,900 of our current members that paid additional for us to give them an extra fun experience during this time of year. And I only focus external, like how do we get more people in the challenge as well? Focus internal. And then when we run challenges, I would involve my members more. And I like to make it bring a buddy style challenges. So I use challenges just like you probably do, Drew, for lead generation to get people in. But internal challenges have brought us in the past year. We were just looking at the numbers, over $20,000 worth of additional revenue that we missed because I had my head firmly planted up my rear with chasing leads and not serving the community to a higher level. So internal challenges have been just massive for us. Like every time we do one, they're just, 100 people, 150 people are some are slim down. We do it external and internal, but there's cash prize for that one. We'll have sometimes 200 people do it. And most of them are internal members who we used to just kind of almost ignore when it came to challenges. They want challenges too, and they're willing to up the ante for it. So
You do them quarterly? So every
every
4 times a year?
in a regular year, yes. Now we did some wild stuff during COVID. We had a 100-day unbreakable challenge. So we ran that intentionally starting in fall. So it took them up to the week before Thanksgiving where we knew we could switch them into Project Zero because we wanted retention. And so we knew that 100 days would involve school opening. It would involve this flu season. And if we got them to commit when things were strong in the summer, we could carry them through. So we did some different things during COVID time. But you look at the whole calendar, when do we need challenges to keep people active? And maybe during summer, this would be a great one, is an activity challenge over the summer. People are going to go on holds. You'll probably lose some members unless you get out in front of it by involving them. Say, here's a 15-day home workout challenge. Here's our nutrition guide to keep you healthy over the summer. Are you going to commit to these 6 weeks? And you do it June to July, or July to August, so people aren't leaving you. So you're keeping members longer, which is the second thing I mentioned. And everyone wants to focus on the first thing, which is get more members. But if you follow those other two, you'll keep people longer and you'll make a heck of a lot more money. Not saying that we don't do the 6-week challenges for external members. We used to do Facebook ads. It used to crush like 5-6 years ago. We'd spend $300 on Facebook, fill an 80-person mom's challenge, make like $8,000 up front, and then convert a bunch at the end. That world is mostly over, sadly. We're lucky to break even on our ad spend to first month revenue anyway. So you might as well just give it away to referrals and get people who are more targeted, or do it through community relationships. But also with challenges, 6 weeks is on the far end of what I would be willing to do, Drew, unless it was that COVID one that I mentioned. We like 4 weeks or like 21 days because our ultimate goal is to get them as members on a recurring payment as soon as possible. And so in a 21-day challenge, we can produce amazing results in terms of how they feel, getting their momentum going, and then convert them into regular memberships. We've done 8 12-week challenges, and you see people drop off and don't even finish the challenge by that point, but you can get them engaged earlier. Drew, does that help? And Christina, did I answer your question on existing members for referring? Did that help you out, or did you have any follow-up on that? Okay, great. It is something we've considered before, and I have seen other gyms do it. Like there was one gym that would give away like a fancy trip over the summer. You got like 1 ticket for everyone you referred. It was just too much effort. It took the focus off our referrals or reactivations at our 90-day marketing calendar, where it wasn't worth it for us, but it might be at the beginning. Yes, Drew, you know this because you're a sharp guy. You never want to fill a leaky bucket, so you want to get people to stay longer. And then you have your best marketing assets walking in and out of your door every day. And it's not just for referrals. They can join challenges. This sounds stupid, but we do apparel sales every 90 days. We sell probably $3,000 worth of apparels. We pre-order it, so we're not sitting on a bunch of crap. Members pick it up, and then we do it the next 90 days. Those are all marketing assets that we had. When I mentioned earlier, you should write down all the assets you have. that's something we do. And now, yeah, you make some shirt revenue, but now everyone's wearing our brand all over town. We do something very simple, and I'm gonna tell you the secret right now, Drew. And I'm only gonna let you do it, and Christina, because you asked the questions. Is that we asked what our members, what word do you associate most with coming to Synergy? We got this long list of words, and we let them vote on the 3 that they most like, and then we put it on a shirt. And then we did the same thing the next month. So they are creating the shirts now that they have a buy-in on what's on it. They love it a lot more. So we sell a lot more. And in a second, I could grab one for you. Well, Kevin and Brendan are thinking of a question. I'm just gonna step around the computer and see if I have one.
I have so many questions. I'm just trying not to hog the forum. That's the problem. Anyone else while Joe leaves?
Who do we got here?
Come on, who do we got? I'm going to start calling people out. We got Christine, Isaac.
So here's one.
Lisa, Mary. Look at that.
The members chose it. We just wrote the word on a shirt and put our name beneath it. We had Triumph. We had Family was one we did, and every 90 days we let the members choose. We would do one. They'd have a lot of buy-in. And so now they have like a series of shirts they're always rocking around town that they paid for, they created, and basically are doing our branding for us.
Joe, what's your most successful thing that you've done to get clients back who might have, or so two things, clients who might have left and moved on or just stopped coming, and then people that had shown interest but didn't sign up. I believe you told me you have a list of those people too, that you got their contact info, but they didn't sign up at that time.
Yeah, it might have been a Facebook ad, no show, but that we always get their email address if they're going to book a session with us. So they'll go on our Synergy interest list. We have our active members list. We have our inactive list. And then we have some different sub lists of where we get them from community relationships, but those are the important ones. So there's a couple important things. Number one, you don't only want to show up when you're asking them to sign up. You have to nurture them, and they stay on our email list. And we do email our members very regularly. Every week I should shoot something we call a 2-minute truth. It's what I worked with a marketing specialist out of Long Island, out of Florida, a guy named Mark Freed that did some of our marketing projects with us. Really smart guy. He said, listen, a lot of people are just too complicated when they try to explain gym stuff. They're talking about pennations of muscle fibers and stuff. They're talking about their fancy rear foot elevated split squat when they're doing gym tours in their garage. They try to make it so complicated. And really all you need to do is answer one person's question in under 2 minutes or less. So we started calling them 2-minute truths. So I'll get on. And today's I shot one I put in our members page. It was just like, hey, you have to think about fixing things before they're broken. I gave an example of how my calves are always so tight from out walking. And we want to put it off until that pain gets too great that it actually breaks, and it could hurt us in the long run. What's something in your life that you'd like to fix now before it actually breaks? And people would respond to that email. Members, non-members, in our members page, they would respond. And I do that every Tuesday. I'll shoot a 2-minute truth. Every Monday, I'll just shoot a Mindset Monday and tell them a little story. And then once later in the week, I'll tell them a member story that's usually a success story. And that's what we've generated our new podcast off of for our local business podcast. But we do all that to be there top of mind when they're ready to sign up, to come back around. So those reactivations, I like to know when they want to come back in. That's why we ask them now. That's why I got over my insecurities, and we're able to ask people when they left, when they want to come back. And usually I'll ask them, hey, you're leaving for your kid's sports season. Is it cool if we follow up afterwards to see where you're at? And you get permission-based marketing. They say yes, and then you can speak to them on that level. But you nurture them along the way, and then you constantly give them an offer every whatever they want. If it's a reactivation, we did a huge one for Black Friday. It was huge for our reactivations. Our community manager was just telling me, I think we got about 41 people reactivated off a Black Friday offer. So sometimes let me say it this way. There's no one thing that everyone's looking for. And to believe that would be naive. There's going to be some people that want you to tell them about the safety of your facility right now, and they'll care about that. So you need to include that for them. There are some people that care about your schedule and flexibility. So you need to speak to that as well. There are some people you just need to give them the right deal, and they're going to come back in. So you need to go through those buckets, and we like to rotate through them and try to find people where they're at. Some people will come back for a free session. Some people free week. Some people need that 30-day trial to warm up to it. it's just where different people are at in their life, and having those conversations and then getting them to sign up is the most powerful thing you can do to start reactivating people.
Other
We'll add
questions,
one more thing for Kevin,
keep
just for
going.
Kevin. Why not?
Yeah.
No,
Perfect.
I usually have the trainer who has the best relationship with them send them the email to ask them if they want to continue. It's not always me anymore. It's very rarely me, because I don't run a lot of the sessions, except for half our staff, or a third of our staff right now is quarantined from possible exposures outside of our gym.
Yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of sessions lately, but usually it's not with me, it's with the other staff members. So we have them do the follow-ups to ask them back in, and that relationship power is important.
I hear the partying. Yeah.
You heard that in the background.
It's family time. It's family time.
7 o'clock is family time.
time.
I just heard one of my children bounce off the wall, but we do have a rope swing, a rock wall, and one of those curved treadmills in our living room. And so they play a game called Dinosaur, where they get pillows and they put them on top of their heads, and they run into each other and try to knock each other over. And they call it Dinosaur for some reason. And then my youngest son, he kind of gets in the way and he gets turtled up on his back. But it's bounce off the wall time.
I love that. Dinosaur. Miss those days. I have a daughter, so we don't play Dinosaur.
You don't play Dinosaur?
No, we do not.
We played.
Although I wish we did sometimes.
We played ice farming today, so we have a couple ponds on our property. So the kids go out with a shovel and just smash it out. It's frozen, then try to shovel it out and make a big pile of ice farming. That was this evening's activity.
Kevin wanted to ask you about your lake or your pond.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty jealous when I get to see you jump in the pond behind the house there. So you said you have a couple of them?
Yeah, we have 2 ponds here on our property. They're pretty close to the house, like, God, maybe 20 feet from our back porch is one of them. So I'm a weirdo that does the winter swimming. I actually haven't been in hot water much in the last probably 5 years. Just started doing the cold shower thing, started doing the ice swimming thing, started doing all that stuff, and I've really enjoyed it. And it's very rare that I'll get in a hot shower, only if we're doing like a challenge hike in the Northeast. Like you guys tried the Presidential Traverse. Was that you two?
I've done that. Yeah, I've done the Presidential Traverse. Yeah.
Throw that down in the winter. You're pretty cold after. You might get a hot shower. But other than that,
yeah, it feels good after you take the boots off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Then you try to stand up out of your car, but it is important to pivot somewhat back to the business perspective. Is have things take your mind off business is just as important of having your mind on business. And I didn't do a great job with that for a few years, where I would teach high school from 7 to 2:50, and I'd run our facilities from 3 until 7. So I had 10 minutes to get out of school. I was teaching economics, race over to the gym, and then run all the evening sessions. Did that for too many years, where I didn't spend as much time with the kids. And our new transition for the parents out there is we are running our family exactly how we run our business. We have a family leadership meeting. We talk about our family core values, and all the things you should be doing in business. You can apply right to your family.
We'll have to do a parenting webinar next time.
First aid, because my kids are bouncing off the wall. First emergency response.
Yeah, as we're destroying everything during this one.
Son Logan has like a dimple right here, and we tell him it's a dimple, but he actually, when he was like a baby, fell and hit his cheek on a chair, and it just dented there. It never went back. Yeah, it's a dimple, buddy. He's all right.
I have a question for you. So would you say, so after listening to you answer all your questions, would you say that community is the number one tool that you have for marketing?
So community is the number one tool we have for marketing, without a doubt. It is also the reason you mentioned earlier in the call on why I left the internet world, is I wasn't great at creating communities without having personal conversations. And I wasn't getting a lot of value out of shooting 3 YouTube videos a week to teach people how to do an ab wheel rollout, which is like 2 million people have seen me do an ab wheel rollout, but I don't know a single one of them. And I just wasn't getting that satisfaction of working with the community. And that's also why we started the Level Up Your Gym consulting business, where I'm only working with like 15 gyms eyeball to eyeball to help them grow their companies. It's because the community aspect's important to me. And I know that's the capacity of my time. The rest of it's going to be spent on my company or my boys. So the community is so important to me personally, but also to get back to the local gym marketing, without a doubt. our goal this year, because we use our gyms as a little bit of a lab, is to see how fast we can sell 6 figures of new revenue and not projected revenue. Like a lot of those people, like I signed up a person for $100. Well, if I multiply that times a 14-month stay, then I just made, $1,400. Well, you didn't make it till it's in your bank. So our goal is to sell 6 figures of new business with $0 in ad spend during the first half of this upcoming year. I don't know if we'll do it or not. That's the challenge I've laid on my leadership team, and they're all really excited on board. We've come up with new workshops. We've launched our new podcast, which we use. And I should add this for Drew and Christina and the other people that have any sort of platform, whether it's a Facebook page, whether it's a local podcast. The reason why we created it is just to have a platform to host other people we want to build relationships with on them. It's not that I think I'm going to get 1,000 views on my local Synergy podcast, but it is, hey, you do a great job in the community doing helping your employees with wellness. Would you like to come on our podcast and talk about it? We sit down, we talk about it, and then they'll be like, hey, can we offer something to our employees? Hell yeah, sure, why not? So those community relationship tactics, and I mentioned Facebook. You can go Facebook Live is what we've done with a lot of businesses, including that running store, including that gymnastics studio, including going Facebook Live, doing some fireman training once. We were training a lot of firemen, so we did Facebook Live. They sent me through a little fake burning building with like all the gear on. And I'm like, I was 6 at that time. I was 6'5". I was still 6'5", but I was like 270, a little bit bigger. I was like stuck in the window trying to get this oxygen tank on Facebook Live. But it was a platform to build the relationship, and you have more assets than just your training time, and you can use those to build the community. I'll also add, it helps to do good in your community for the sake of doing good. And it's one of those weird things that comes back to, and I always talk about scalable marketing, and then I'm kind of going against it right here. One of my local my local business mentor, a guy named Kevin Blake, amazing guy, handed me my first book about 6 or 7 years ago. And I say first book, yeah, I went to college, but I mean, I just read what I had to. It was called The Go-Giver. And it was just the concept of doing good and leading with value and seeing how you can help first, and doing it in a non-selfish way. And it's just such a simple book, and I've reread it every year. But we do the same thing in our community. We do a trunk or treat for the kids and their families, where they could come around and trick or treat at different trunks. In the sense this year, trick or treat was mostly on lockdown. We did drive-through. We came up with a concept, hey, we're gonna put up this community event. We're gonna do a drive-through trick or treat for our area, because we don't know if the kids will actually be able to participate in it. We threw a Facebook up again, a Facebook event. We thought maybe we get 20 or 30 cards. We had over 200 community people come through, and very few of them were members. They were just people that lived in the local neighborhood that wanted something for their kids, and they looked to us as the community organizer and the platform. And it's led to a lot of different members by just saying, hey, what cool can we do? What are our assets again? What can we do and leverage to help out? We run a charity 5K called the Pump and Run. We involve a lot of our community, and we have sponsors, but we basically just give them away to local businesses for free to build up that relationship. So how can you go deeper in your local community is how we grew 2 years ago, how we maintain this past year as best as possible, and how we will hit that 6-figure target if we do in the next 6 months, is all community relationships, including our internal community, like we talked about with Drew's question, is doing those internal member challenges and see what extra value can we provide to them, and how can we help them along the way a little bit more.
What has been your most successful community? So I was thinking about joining like the Chamber of Commerce, and I remember you and I talked about that, but it's like a B2B, like I'm working with other business people, and yes, I can help them, but they're not necessarily the people that are going to be coming to my gym or my demographic. And so I love the example of, you got 200 people who might not know who the hell Synergy is, to come in and do trick or treat, like come through, and now they know who you are. Maybe they didn't sign up, but do you have any like top 3 or anything specific that you can think of that helped with the community?
Yeah, the chamber definitely depends on your area. Some are great, some are not. But it is also how you leverage them. So the chamber example is, if you decide to be a member of it, you have to be really an active member to get anything out of it. And how we leverage the chamber is, I spoke at one, the young professionals, they do a side thing like, hey, I'd love to talk to the young professionals, came and did a free presentation in exchange for, let's see if you're paying attention. What did I ask them for?
Email list.
Email. Yes. They emailed every young professional a 30-day pass, or an offer to get a 30-day pass. where we said, hey, it's limited. You need to apply. We'll give it away to the first 10. So a bunch of people apply so we can get their contact, move them over to our nurture list. And we got a lot of young professionals to sign up. The moms one at the gymnastics works great because we're able to solve a problem for the gymnastics studio where they don't have the capacity, especially now with the guidelines, to even have parents there, and then parents need to go somewhere. Mm-hmm. The youth sports has been amazing for us. I'll give you another one for sporting. We did a fundraiser, and we were huge on this for a few years, and we do them every once in a while now, where we'll say, hey, we know your school does a lot of fundraisers. We'll come in and we'll do a free speed and agility clinic. You can charge $5, $10, whatever you want. You can keep it all as a fundraiser for your program, and we'll come in and do this 90-day workshop for you. And we do those for like a basketball program. We have 150 kids that we get all their permission slips signed that include an email address for us to email and follow up. We did it for softball programs. We did it for youth football. We did it for lacrosse. We did it for actually a lot of different basketball programs, 3 or 4 different high schools in the area. Because at the end, I would ask, like, hey, do you know another coach that we could help out like this? And that would get a referral from that coach to somebody else, either in that school or in a different school.
So I asked this question because I wanted you to bring this one up, because this was my favorite idea that you gave me, hands down. Like, who would not want to have a free speed training camp where they make a bunch of money for donations, and then in return you get exposure and you get emails? Like, it's so simple, and it's like you were saying, it's part of the community. It's not Brendan Rierick wrote a speed article that nobody in my town is going to read. Like, other trainers on the internet read my speed article, but they are not the ones paying me for personal training. So I think that's my favorite one personally that you've shared with me.
Yeah, that's huge for athletes. If you do athletes, that one is amazing. And sometimes you can say, hey, you can even do it for free if you just want more people to participate, more people in your program to go. It doesn't matter to you. You just want a lot of people in it. So sometimes they choose to do it for free and you get higher participation. And we do the same for travel. Well, we did one for a hockey team. We did it at our facility, a travel hockey team, because they couldn't get enough ice time. We said, hey, we know ice time is an issue. Do you want to come into our facility? We'll do a 90-minute session for you. We had 125 kids show up to one of our facilities, and we knew they were coming. So we had the minor league hockey team. We asked them, they sent their mascot, they sent a couple players, they sent their coach. So we had this huge event at one of our facilities where we were training this youth hockey team, and our community manager just dressed it all up.
Awesome.
And we got some conversions out of that, but we're also still training them right now for off ice training, because athlete market's hot right now because they just don't have as much to do. So a lot of those relationships we built back then are now coming to fruition. And also go back to that chamber thing. I did the speaking, I'd show up at the stuff. And they eventually awarded me like the 2019 Small Business of the Year in the area, which was a great opportunity to open up more doors to chamber people. And we made relationships through that. So it takes time. It's not going to happen once with like a business group like that. But if you go and participate, provide a little bit of value, you'll be amazed what you can get out of it. And, like who said, Christina and Michelle have read that book before. You go give value and you'll be amazed at what comes back around. And that was a big community relationship for us.
Yeah, that's my next audio book now. I'm going to download it as soon as we get off, because I've not read that. So
what a rookie. Kevin, we can't help some people.
Go-getter.
Go giver. Go giver.
Go giver.
God, Kevin can't even remember the name of it.
Now, got to read the original. The other follow-ups are okay, like the Go Giver Influencer. There's a bunch of them now, but the original one.
Okay.
It's
the
only
original,
like a 4-hour audio book. It's like a fable.
Perfect. Right up my alley.
Yes, and that.
Do you have any other like good top 3 marketing books that you like?
See, I'm a weirdo, so I like to pull things from weird places. I like Never Lose a Customer Again as a recent one. Marketing books. I have these weird books right here. They don't even come in audiobooks, which is tough. This one's called Building a Better Leader. There's a handful of them. So this guy named Ari Weinswig wrote them. He owns Zingerman's out in Ann Arbor, famous restaurateur. And just a very interesting business guy. And I bought these books like 3 years ago, and almost through them because they're dense reads, but there's like so much value in how to create a vision, be a better leader. But on the marketing side, the one-page marketing plan is the easy one to start with. And even though we don't use a lot of concepts from that book, we use the one-page idea, and we created a one-page health plan, which we hand our members on a laminated sheet that they hang up on their refrigerator, and they check things off like drink my water today, ate my veggies today, and they erase it. So we created a one-page health plan off that concept and one-page marketing plan. Story brand is a great one to simplify and clarify your message.
The one-liner stuff was really helpful for me, especially when we were talking about how to envision who your audience is, and that's who you're trying to sell to. Like Sarah is a teacher, she has 2 kids, and her husband make this much money per year, and they have these health issues and blah, 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 blah. So that was really, really helpful. Story brand, and then creating one-liners.
Yeah, and honestly, whichever one you choose, just focus on it, actually execute on it. I did a lot of book hopping. The Story Brand's one I went deeper on. I did some of their certifications, their Business Made Simple University, went through that. Just had focus on that one for the year, and all my extra reading was like business biographies, like the Sam Walton book and the Dollar General book and all those.
Boss Life is my favorite business book I've ever read.
Which
Boss
one?
Life.
Which book?
Boss Life by Paul Downs. It's the most real.
Oh, that's the one I gave you. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, you gave it to me, Kevin. Thanks.
He didn't even read it. Yeah. He's like, here, take this.
Here. This book. I don't know what it is, but you can read it.
Very good read. Very good read. Very good read.
I just like that he has like his revenue and his taxes and how much he's made and how much he's lost and what worked and didn't work. It's just a very realistic view of entrepreneurship.
So I bounce between marketing, like dense business systems book like Traction or the Ari Weinswig book or even Story Brand, even though it's not dense, and then like the lighter reading, which is just business stories I love. I've read all 3 books on Home Depot, like every one of the owners and then an outside investor all wrote books on it, which were all just interesting to see their different perspectives on what was going on. And Shoe Dog is a classic. My wife's reading it right now, and those lighter reading. Did you read that weird book about bananas I told you about?
Yeah, the fish that ate the whale. It was awesome. I love that
about banana republics and how the guy overthrew the Boston Fruit Company and overthrew countries. Like, wow, what a wild.
That's a great book. Slinging bananas out of train cars, making money.
Oh man, it makes you think. Like people would buy bananas and take them to the store to sell them, and then it took like 3 days to get to the store, but he figured, you know what, the bananas start going bad, and they just were giving him free bananas because they would go bad in one day. So he'd drive the train through the town and have everyone run up to the train and quick throw bananas off the train. So he cut one day off his distribution plan, got all the product for free, and ended up overthrowing the company that was giving him the product for free, along with a bunch of countries.
Kevin, you love that book. It's called The Fish That Ate the Whale. The Fish That Ate the Whale.
I will definitely look that one up.
Every time I eat a banana, now I say, hey, it's not grown on a tree, it's on a rhizome. So I know more about bananas and the types of bananas than I probably
This is true. All right, Joe, this is where you do your like little sales pitch thing, because tell people kind of more about the level up, and then about your, I believe it's a 100-day newsletter, correct?
So this is intentionally, like I'm teaching you to do with your gyms, hopefully the easiest no-brainer sales pitch that you can consider, which is I have a daily video series. Every day I teach you something, only 1 to 3 minutes. About 100 of them are done. I shot another 100 2 weeks ago that are in editing. And you just go to levelupyourgym.com and you jump on the newsletter. We have 2 free PDFs, which are growing your gym with ads, growing your gym without ads. And then you get those free daily emails right to your inbox. And the reason why we call it Level Up Your Gym is people will be at different levels. And my goal is to help enough gym owners elevate themselves that eventually our fitness world is taking more seriously as a continuation of care through the healthcare industry. And I think that requires us to grow more solid businesses to be more attractive to being able to partner with healthcare and be taken a little bit more seriously. And that involves knowing your business side of business side of things. So many amazing trainers that I see get shortchanged because they don't have any business education and their businesses end up failing. So there's different levels. Maybe you're at the 0 to 50 level, like Isaac was asking about. He doesn't have members yet. Or maybe you're at the 50 to 150 so members. Maybe you're at the 150 looking at that second location. So we break down the education to help out each level. And the reason why I provide it free is because I want to lead with value, like we talked about the Go Giver. So visit levelupyourgym.com. We have those free video series. We do a podcast. Brendan was on it. We have had a lot of great interviews across a lot of different industries that go out free to all the members. And then if I'm able to help people out one-on-one when that situation arises, then we do that. But if not, you'll get a lot of great content. And then just like we teach you with the gyms, is that if you enjoy the content, you just give me a kind sentence, and then we help grow our email list and help more gyms.
Awesome. Yeah, and I can vouch that it's totally worth your time. So everyone go to levelupyourgym.com and sign up for the newsletter. It's a lot of what we spoke about today, but it's a lot of those stories, a lot of those ideas. And I think that's what I appreciate the most about you, Joe, is that it's not just like, here's the theory of like what should work or what may work. Like, this is what I've A and B tested, and these are the stories of how it worked or didn't work, which is very, very helpful. And I guess selfishly for me, that's really helpful for us to get started and to continue to move forward with our gym here. So maybe Movement as Medicine could use some stuff over there.
Yeah.
Awkward pause. See what he says. No. Yeah, I do appreciate that. And that's why I pumped the brakes a little on it. Yes, our 6-month plan is to grow our company by $100,000 with no ad spend. But if it doesn't work, I will tell you, and I will tell you why. So you probably want to get a level up your gym to see if we make it or not.
Yeah.
But we'll tell you.
Stay tuned just for that.
To see if I drove my businesses into the ground or not in the next 6 months.
See if you crash and burn. I'll have popcorn waiting.
And now one of our big questions is legitimately, is it worth it to do a local podcast? I don't know. I will find out in the next 6 months, and everyone at levelupyourgym.com will figure it out as well, because I'll tell them on how it shook out. Again, we're just using it as a platform. But we're going to try to use YouTube more for local marketing and build that platform. We're using our Facebook less for ads and more for featuring other businesses. So there's a lot of interesting things that we're going to test out that I haven't seen done in the fitness industry that much. So I want to see if it works versus just run an ad, get some members, then eventually they leave. So you run another ad, you get some members, eventually they leave, and you kind of go through that phase. So we want to see how weird we can get in 2021.
Perfect. My goal in 2020 was to stay neutral, and I've stayed neutral. So I'm fingers crossed for 2021. I don't know about $100,000 here, but hopefully a couple grand.
It's going to be a big year in the fitness industry. There's no doubt about it. Simple economics. There's going to be a lot less supply, and even if demand stays the same, that people want to go back, the supply side is shrinking so much. Unfortunately, with all the businesses going out, but not you, because you're going to have rock solid businesses, and you're going to be able to find the opportunity and the chaos and the tragedy and come out stronger and be able to serve more people.
Beautiful. All right. Anything I add, Kevin?
No, that was great. I really enjoyed it. Just listening more than anything, to be honest.
You're a great listener.
I appreciate that, Kevin. I appreciate that, Lisa and Michelle and Christina and Drew and Isaac, we talked about from up in the top of the chat. I appreciate you guys chipping in. It is weird to come into a chat, say I don't know this person at all, but I will raise my hand and ask a couple questions. So I really appreciate that. Again, it's like when you go into a gym and you're not sure what to expect, and you stepped up for me, so I appreciated it. And thank you, Mary. Go Gata for sure.
All right. Well, this is recorded, so I'm going to be sharing this with the rest of our CFSCs tomorrow. And thanks for coming on, Joe. Kevin, thanks for watching, I guess.
Yeah, that was great.
Thank you for letting us guess who was on your cartoon poster. It was very important to my day. And both of us are wrong.
Kevin, can you show them the other ones? Can you move?
Was it Patrick Swayze and
Patrick Swayze is right here.
I thought you were kidding.
No, he's right next to me.
Next
All right, well, I probably would have kept that to myself. I don't know. God. It is what it is. No, I like a good joke. So I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for having me on. And thank you for all the questions. And people, if you end up drifting over to levelupyourgym.com, you can respond to any of your emails, any of the emails I send out. I'll be happy to help you out. Actually, I love the questions because it gives me something to talk about.
Yeah, and maybe we do this in January if you're open to it. Again, Joe, with some January marketing. I would personally like to see more of your flyers and stuff next time, or maybe we start with one of your lectures and then go from there.
I'm willing to do it if Kevin comes with greater than one question.
Of course,
Okay,
of course.
All right, awesome. I appreciate you and your community. Thank you so much for adding me to the coaches group so I can see what's going on, and my staff really appreciates what CFSC does as well.